Have you ever thought, is this just me when struggling to stay organized, start tasks, or manage time? For those of us over 50, these challenges might not be just aging. They could be ADHD hiding in plain sight for decades. I'm Jami Shapiro, host of Grandma Has ADHD, and I'm building a community where your experiences matter. Whether you're diagnosed, questioning, or simply curious, you're not alone. Our Facebook group is filled with vibrant, understanding people over 50 who share their stories, strategies, and yes, even their struggles, with plenty of laughter along the way. Ready to find your people? Join our growing Grandma Has ADHD Facebook community. Please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and share it with someone who might need to hear they're not alone, because ADHD doesn't have an age limit and neither does understanding yourself better. Together, we're changing the conversation about ADHD after 50. Come be part of the story. Hi, and welcome to the latest edition of Grandma Has ADHD. I am sitting here with a very reluctant guest who has never listened to my podcast and is not a grandma, right?
Well, yeah, no.
But you are a grandchild.
Yes.
And you do have a grandmother with ADHD.
Yes.
Yes. So we are talking to my youngest child, who you have heard me reference many times. Her room is the one that sometimes I will record the podcast episode in because you have the best Wi-Fi. And sometimes you get to see the background of her room, which would you say looks like a bomb went off?
Oh, it's different to my oldest sibling with ADHD just because it's not that my room is unhygienic. It's just very disorganized.
You want to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Because that oldest child may at one point listen to this.
I love my oldest sibling so much. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But my room it's just disorganized. I hate doing laundry. And I think that's what makes my room look super messy, just because there's so much laundry everywhere.
So, all right, you hate doing laundry.
Mhm.
Would you say that generally, like, household tasks are something you enjoy?
It really depends. When I was a kid, I enjoyed like physically cleaning stuff, like washing the windows or mopping the floors, but it's things like laundry and just like organizing things that really I just can't do it. I can't sit down and just get it done unless I physically force myself to.
Okay, so tell me about your laundry. Tell me about your process. Now, just share it. So, just for frame of reference, if you're listening, Adyson is 17. She is the baby of my 3 children. And although I suspected that she had ADHD back when you were in 4th grade, and I remember actually her report card came home and it was sort of like talks too much in class. And I was like, this is my report card. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she has ADHD. And I told her, yeah, I think you have ADHD. And I got out a book, or I got up the internet to show her all of the really cool people in the world who had ADHD. And then my ex-husband dismissed me and said, don't diagnose her. Right. And so we didn't really think about it or talk about it. And here I was learning about ADHD. And it was only a couple of months ago when you actually said, Mom, I think I have it.
I was pretty sure I had it, I think, all of high school, but it wasn't until recently when it was actually affecting me. It was my junior year of high school, and it's really hard for me to focus in school. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. If I can get some resources to help me with school, I want to get diagnosed. So I did. And then I kind of was like, told you so, because I understand where she's coming from. But for a while, she was only used to seeing one specific type of ADHD, the one that she has and that my oldest sibling have. But I don't have that kind. It's different, and that's normal. But you really don't see it in me because I can be pretty talkative, but with my family, not as much, just because the different dynamic. But like things that go on in my brain, it just makes sense. I have it.
Anybody who saw your room would know you had ADHD. Or lives with you when you can see that Adyson had left a path in her wake. Oh, well, she clearly ate this, because it's like the breadcrumbs of Hansel and Gretel. Which I will say, I understand it. So that's been really helpful for me with that perspective. Is like, I recognize that she isn't trying to be difficult or like leave everything for me to clean up, but my partner who does not have ADHD, and she is an OPK, which means other people's kid. And what I have discovered is that you have more tolerance for your own children than you do someone else's. And so living with somebody and having to defend my child who always makes messes is hard. So anybody that could see how you lived would know.
I want to emphasize that they're not unhygienic messes. I'm a
No.
very cleanly, clean
You
person.
shower and brush
I'm
your teeth
just
daily.
very disorganized.
Very disorganized. And you're so lucky because you have me as a mom. You are lucky.
Very lucky.
But, this was a very spontaneous conversation because Adyson, again, does not listen to my podcast, but my kids, everybody makes fun of me because the ADHD is love. Tell the audience about life with me with ADHD.
Just ever since she started this podcast and got her training, it's been her hyperfixation in just the way that, at least in conversations with me, my ADHD has to connect to everything, which I don't necessarily see it that way. I can see how it affects a lot of the things in my daily life, but I don't think it consumes it. If that makes sense. But that might just be because my ADHD isn't as severe as other people's, or I just don't view it that way because it could be a mindset, honestly. Not saying that ADHD is a mindset, but how you view it is.
Well, I definitely think your attitude is key, whether you have ADHD or not, and how you view something 100%. But I will also say that ADHD actually does wax and wane throughout our life. And for me, I don't think my ADHD was as pronounced as when I hit perimenopause, which thankfully you're not there. But have you noticed, like, women who have ADHD, we tend to have more heightened emotion around our cycle? Our like we're more sensitive to our menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that's the case for you versus your friends who might not have it?
I don't really ask my friends about how they are before their cycle, but I definitely noticed that. That's normal because of hormones, but I definitely am a little bit more just out of it before my period. I don't know if that is because maybe just because how my body works in general, but I can understand why that can occur.
So we were going to talk about your laundry just to give somebody a perspective to maybe hear themselves as a teenager. So tell me, let's talk about the cycle of your laundry. Okay.
So I just have a lot of clothes, like almost too many clothes. I think I cope with retail therapy sometimes.
So by the way, I want to side note, one of the ways that ADHD shows up for people who are inattentive, which is Addison's type, is either through acquisition and buying, and she thrifts, so it's not like she's spending a lot of money, but shopping, compulsive spending, or eating. Those are the two big main ways, by the way. So we're going to ADHD all in on this conversation. Your ADHD definitely, see, I didn't turn off the do not disturb, and then that squirrel and the thing went off. So I've got to put the do not disturb on. But, yeah. So your clothing, laundry. See? Go ahead.
Well, I do also have divorced parents, and I go back and forth between houses, which definitely doesn't make it better. So what will happen is, let's say I finally, there's a pile, and I do my laundry. And usually the clean clothes are sitting in the clean bin for a good, 2 weeks, the minimum. They are sitting there for a while. Specifically at my mom's house, I have a couch that I sometimes put my clean laundry in because maybe I don't have another hamper. I don't mix it with the dirty laundry. That's for sure.
But don't you sometimes not know what's clean and what's dirty?
I always know.
You do know.
I always know.
Because I can't tell. But you pile.
With jeans and shirts, to me it doesn't matter as much as I worked out in it. But things that I get dirty in, like underwear and socks and workout clothes, that stuff I know is dirty and I will wash it and I will never wear it unless it's cleaned again. Because I get kind of sensitive to those things. I just don't like the thought of being dirty. But what will happen is I will pick the clothes out of the clean hamper until all the clothes I like are gone. And then there's another, because I'm still going through clothes, I'll put it in the dirty laundry basket. So I'll have two laundry baskets. One is clean, one is dirty. I know which ones are which, but it's getting really overwhelming. So usually it takes honestly a few months. I'm not even exaggerating because I always put it off because I'm a pretty busy person and I kind of need to set off a good few hours to just get my laundry done because it is so consuming for me. I'm getting better at it now, but this was middle of high school for me. It would take me months just to fully get all my laundry done. So I'll wash the dirty bin and then I have two clean ones. And then usually a few days after I will just dump it all on the floor and I'll finally do it. There are some cases where I will because I always set aside things. I have a weird way of doing my laundry where I'll set before folding anything, I will toss them all into different piles of this is tops, this is bottoms, this is pajamas, these are underwear. And usually with the tops, I put them on hangers and I hang them in my closet. And like currently right now, all my tops are sitting on my couch because I forgot to put them away and I've been putting it off for a while.
So I have a question for you. Is there anything that ever motivates you? Like you've got all this laundry, you hate doing it. Is there anything that ever can like make you do it, get it done?
A lot of the times it's timelines. Like I want to have all my clothes put away and stuff and my room fully clean before school starts. Just because like a fresh
So you're
start.
giving yourself a deadline.
Yeah, and also sometimes if like I have somebody coming over.
That's what I was looking for.
A lot of the times though, I have just been like, sorry, my room is messy. I'll just like shove it on a corner and I'll pretend that it's not there. Because the rest of the room is clean. It's just the laundry that's kind of everywhere. So I'll just like put it all in a pile and I'll just say, don't look over there.
Do you know that when I was a child, like the only thing I ever used to get in trouble for was my room?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And this is where the acceptance of ADHD and the acknowledgement is like, okay, I understand the struggle is real. So I try not to get on to Adyson, which I think the knowledge has made me a better parent. Okay, so this is the question that I really wanted to ask you. So you're representing, what is your generation called? You're not Gen Z.
I am Gen Z.
You're Gen Z?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about ADHD, because one of the things that I'm trying to do is destigmatize ADHD in older generations, because we didn't talk about mental health and challenges the way that your generation does. Would you agree with that? And I would also say that, while you have ADHD as a result of your genetics, because it's been passed down through our family.
Anything like TikTok and the COVID pandemic definitely shaped it.
I think actually it's been more of you guys were raised with constant stimulation and your brains.
I think it's TikTok, but that's just my opinion.
I think it was before TikTok. But I will say that a lot of people have said that COVID made it worse because all of a sudden we didn't have such structure, which is actually one of the reasons that they think people who've retired may struggle more with their ADHD, because they now have this like wide open space. Now, let me ask you this question. If you have a wide open day, how does that make you feel? If you've got nothing planned?
It depends on a lot of factors, but I'd say if I've had a really stressful few days ahead of that, or if I've been working a lot and with one day off, and if I can't make any last minute plans, I'll usually, those are the days, because I rarely have them, where I will try and get like laundry and stuff like that done. And if not, then I always just have like these little tasks that I want to get done in my head that I just never really end up doing. So I'll usually do those tasks. They're just like little things like, oh, I want to sew this thing, or I want to fix the hole in my pants, or just the smallest things, or I want to go to Michael's and get stuff to do this.
So this is where ADHD shows up differently, because if I have an entire day, I feel like I have to fill it. And also sometimes I don't even know where to
I hate just sitting in my bed. I don't like doing that, but sometimes like my motivation can be varied. So like I will want to do all these tasks, but I will physically not be able to.
Yeah, that's very ADHD. Yeah. Okay, so back to generation. So I do think some of the people of your generation have it the way that you have it. And I do think that like the constant stimulation and the growing up with an iPad, it definitely is making people's brains become deficient on dopamine. Like they're addicted to the constant movement, and I think their brains need more. But outside of that, if somebody is diagnosed with ADHD, is it something that they feel like they need to keep secret?
Not really, no. Usually I can tell, and most of the people in my life have ADHD, honestly. A lot of my friends do. A lot of people I've dated have had ADHD, so it's not really because you're very open about it. Like, if first minute you meet somebody, you will probably say that you have ADHD. It's not like that's not how it is in my generation. It's more just we don't feel the need to, I don't know how to word this properly.
It's not stigmatized.
Yeah, it's not stigmatized. We're not ashamed of it. It's just not something we feel the need to bring up, because honestly, it is so common. At least in the area that I am, because, therapy is very accepted. And
you also go to an artsy school.
Yeah, I go to an artsy school. We're in like a liberal area where therapy is, pretty normalized. So people that have ADHD are aware of it because they're usually in therapy for it. As opposed to a smaller town where it's more stigmatized, because we are in a very nice area where it's not as stigmatized, but that's not how it is everywhere. There's still little pockets of, especially in America, where things aren't as cool.
Okay, well, we're going to pause. When we come back, what I want to ask you is if you could put yourself in a situation, maybe like grandma, where all this time you had ADHD, like something was off, but you didn't have a name for it. And then, what advice you would give to that person who is discovering it. Does that even make any sense?
Mm.
Well, we're going to talk about it offline and figure out how I want to ask this question. We're going to take a pause because you're going to hear we do not receive any funding. And so one of the things that I do is I promote my business as a coach and also the services that Silver Linings Transitions provides. So hang in there. We're going to take a pause. And I also just want to encourage you to like and subscribe to the podcast and join our growing Facebook Grandma Has ADHD community. I gotta like build it up because the more people who embrace their ADHD and find their tribe, the less stigma there will be. So we're gonna be right back. Okay. And hey there, Grandma Has ADHD listeners. I'm your host, Jami Shapiro, and do I have some exciting news? My book, This Explains So Much Understanding Undiagnosed ADHD, is now available on Amazon. My mom, Vicki, and I wrote this together. She's the original grandma who inspired this whole journey. I'm calling this the perfect is the enemy of done version, because if I waited until it was perfect, you'd never be holding it in your hands. This book is for us. Those of us who've spent our whole lives feeling like we were too much or never quite enough. Inside, you'll find why you've always felt different, ADHD traits you didn't even know were ADHD traits, how to declutter without the shame spiral, and so much more about thriving with ADHD after 50. Here is the exciting part. Everyone who purchases the book gets free access to a virtual book club that my mom and I are hosting. So mark your calendars for Sunday, October 26th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to share stories, laugh about our ADHD moments, and create that safe space where you can finally take off that girdle. When you read the book, you'll know what I mean, and just be yourself. Here's what to do. Head to Amazon, search This Explains So Much, Jami Shapiro, grab your copy, paperback or ebook, and visit grandmahasadhd.com to take the ADHD quiz and get your book club registration link. Understanding your ADHD isn't adding to your plate. It's finally understanding why your plate has always felt so full. I cannot wait to see you at the book club and hear your stories. And if the book resonates, please leave an Amazon review, as well as for this podcast, to help other women find their light bulb moments. Thank you for being part of this community. This book exists because of all of you. Ever wondered why helping a loved one declutter feels like speaking different languages? I did, especially with my mom. It wasn't until I founded Silver Linings Transitions, helping San Diego seniors organize and move for over a decade, that I discovered why. We all experience clutter differently, and for those of us with ADHD, it's a whole other world. If you are listening in the San Diego area and feeling stuck with moving, paperwork, photos, or home organization, our team at Silver Linings Transitions gets it. We understand ADHD's unique challenges, and we won't just help you get organized. We'll create sustainable systems that finally stick. Schedule a consultation with our team today at 760-522-1624. That's 760-522-1624, or find us at silverliningstransitions.com. We are back, and I figured out a way that I wanted to ask Adyson the question. And I said, with all of the challenges that come with having ADHD, can you imagine what it would have been like to not know and not have it be something that people were aware of?
Yeah.
So, to describe what you think that would have felt like.
It definitely would have felt And it's not that I can necessarily relate to people that are in that position, but in other ways, I do know somewhat what it feels like to just have something off with you and not really understand what it is. And I think in a way, my HG has played a factor in this just because growing up, I've always kind of been a little bit different, but not like a noticeable amount, not where it's like, everybody could kind of see and point and stare, but just I never really felt like I clicked with the other kids in my school. And part of it was because I'm queer and, it's obviously a bit different growing up like that. But also a big part of it is because I have ADHD and my brain doesn't really, I can't really focus on the same things, or I get those little hyperfixations that most people don't really get. So I can understand what it's like for somebody who grew up in a society where it wasn't as accepted, just in general, because, to feel like there's something wrong with you that you can't control is really hard. And when you finally get the word and like understand what exactly it is, it must feel incredibly relieving. And not only that, but to find a community where people can relate to you, that must feel like, thankfully, I'm never going to have to experience that, but I can just imagine how good it feels for those people that are in that position.
There's also grief. Can you imagine like someone like grandma who is super bright but didn't have the ability to finish college because she couldn't concentrate and she didn't know why she couldn't concentrate. And if she had known and she'd maybe been properly medicated, you could see where it would have been a really different experience.
I also think that grief can come in a way where it's like, I'm not saying that for older generations because there was no way to know what ADHD is, but say somebody in my generation gets diagnosed much later in life for whatever reason and they don't know, I would say they could reflect on their life and think all the things they could have done to help with their ADHD if they had just known how different their life could be if they had just known they had ADHD, you know?
So here's a question that I ask all my guests, and I'm going to ask you. Okay, if you could press a button and you would not have ADHD, never ever have had it, never have it again, would you press the button?
Could there be like a time limit for it?
I press the button, I don't have it ever, never, and then didn't have it, or I had to keep it.
I would get rid of it, honestly, just because, at least for right now, I know the option is to never have it, but while I'm still in school, it's really hard to have it, and especially because the school system is a bit wonky. Like, I wasn't able to get it before because my ADHD wasn't as visible, or it didn't affect me as much as other people.
Explain what a 504 is.
It's kind of like an accommodation that schools provide for students with learning disabilities. For ADHD, you get like extended time on tests, or, you know, I don't really know exactly what details it implies just because I don't have one because I wasn't able to get one, but it definitely helps because some workload might be easier for you, or you'll have more time on tests, or just extensions for papers or things like that, which could be very easy. And because essentially, students with ADHD like me have to work twice as hard just to be average, I would say. And I have also a friend who has ADHD who gets good grades, and they were also denied a 504 just because their grades were too good.
So, first of all, I want to address the button and then I want to talk about something else. So what I have heard from people is a lot of people have said that if the button option had been available to them in school, they would have pressed it. So it's very, very normal because you are in a space of conformity right now. You have to do things the way people want it done. You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't just go and do what you learn, what you want to learn, what interests you. You're scripted, right? It is scripted for you. And so that seems to be a universal feeling for people. But I also want to say that another reason that a lot of people actually don't discover that they have ADHD, or they don't discover it until they're in medical school or in challenging school, is that there's something called twice exceptional. A lot of gifted children actually have ADHD, but because they are so bright, they compensate for it. So I would say that, for you, and I'm not putting the gifted label on you, but
I wasn't even that way.
but I would say that a lot of people with ADHD tend to be very bright, and our brains do think differently. So we're able to come up with solutions to things. We thrive under pressure, right? Would you say if you have something due at the last minute, you have more ability to get it done?
No, actually.
Really?
I get really stressed. Of course, I will get it done, but I will be I'll just get distracted. I can't just like lock in and like study. So like a test or a paper, it's going to take me a while. That's why I don't really procrastinate till the last minute, more like the last week. because I know it's going to take me a while. I know I'm going to do it in chunks. I can't just sit down and get it done.
Do you ever hyper focus on anything? Like, do you ever like everything falls away and this is all you pay attention to? And is there anything in life that you just are like, I don't want to do anything else but this?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like when I'm dating someone, I get really obsessive with not obsessive, but it's harder for me to focus / care about other things.
I've heard that it's
Yeah, it's not very healthy, and I'm working on it, but it definitely is how it has been for me, where I will just like, especially when I was like a bit younger, like earlier in high school, when I didn't have a car and I didn't have all this freedom and I was kind of forced to be at home more often. I was like, I don't want to be with my family. I want to be with this person or this person. I can get that with friends too, and also with music specifically, that kind of.
So if you're writing a song?
No. Actually, it's just like the idea of, because there are times where I'm like, I really want to do blank with music. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just like, I want to get something done with music right now. Because I feel like sitting still and not doing anything with music, I will feel like almost like a failure. So I kind of like force myself to focus on music. But it is harder. It comes much easier to focus on somebody that I am interested in, I would say.
Well, okay. So parting words for our audience, Adyson, you are representing Gen Z to, let's say, to grandmas, right? What would you want to say to them on behalf of your generation so that they have a better understanding of sort of like what it's like to be in the world that you're in right now? And this can be ADHD or not ADHD, by the way. This can just be, let's see this creative brain of yours.
Just very different. I don't know. I feel like my generation definitely doesn't come with the mind as commonly of a mindset as respect your elders. We definitely are a generation that believes that respect is earned, not just given. And in ways, I am like, I do respect everybody generally, but I am definitely not the kind of person that if an older person is being rude to me, I'm not going to allow it just because they're older. That makes sense. And I think that's what a lot of senior citizens don't understand, is that we aren't going to put up with rude or difficult people just because society tells us to. It's not because we ourselves are rude people. It's more just the fact that we definitely have a lot more strength. Not strength, but we come from a different time where other things are more accepted. Like, it's now considered asking for help is a sign of strength instead of weakness. Also, we are a bit different with customer service workers, which is what a lot of people think. We're just like, we're afraid to ask for like ketchup, or if they get an order wrong, we'll just ignore it because we don't want to make their day. And I work in customer service, so I understand that. It's also a big difference where older people aren't really afraid to just ask for what they want.
No.
Sometimes, as somebody who works in customer service, sometimes it doesn't come across as very friendly or understanding. It's more just like, you messed this up, this is your fault, I demand XYZ.
There's definitely a way to approach it.
I'm not saying every senior citizen is like that, but there are.
I'm not a senior.
I'm not saying you are either.
But I don't like the word senior citizen, just a senior. Or an older adult. It doesn't have, or a wiser adult. I like wiser adult.
It's called crystallized intelligence. I learned this. Actually, the one subject that I genuinely have liked in school that I was able to pay attention to was AP psychology. And we learned that as you grow older, it's not that you are smarter. It's that your crystallized intelligence, which is just like general knowledge of things, increases, but your active intelligence, which is like the ability to think creatively or think of new skills or just be able to do a lot more things, that does decrease. I think it peaks like mid-adulthood.
So one of the blessings of ADHD is that we are naturally curious.
It's different for ADHD. This is just like a general life thing.
Yeah. So one of the things that I actually just learned, which I think you're going to find very cool, I actually heard it on Tracy Otsuka's podcast, and she does the ADHD for Smartass Women. And she was saying that for women, our self-esteem tends to be at its worst right before we hit our period. So around that 12, 13, when we're starting to get our breasts, and that's usually your lowest self-esteem, and that it actually peaks in your 50s. And it's because you have a better sense of who you are. And that's why a lot of women in their 50s are more willing to go and start businesses or to leave marriages, because we finally have that self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
So could you see that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think because now I'm 17, I'm a senior in high school. It's not like I'm the most confident person, but also
more confident than you were at 12 and 13.
Oh, yeah, it definitely goes up, but it's normal to, because especially going into college, it's normal to kind of question exactly who you are. Like right now, I'm probably going through a huge identity crisis. And it's normal. I know it is, but it's just the fact that because of my ADHD, I think there's so many things that I could see myself doing or wanting to be, or I get all these ideas in my head where it's like, oh, I could start this, or I could do this before college, or all these things, or maybe for college I can go here, 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 and do this. And because there's so many possibilities, it is so hard to decide this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and this is what I will become.
Well, I would imagine, and I can't speak for someone neurotypical because I haven't had that experience, but I would imagine that's pretty common regardless, right? So if you could turn the tables and ask your amazing mother, who's an expert in ADHD, or is there anything that you'd want to ask, or
You can be on the spot like that. I also live with you, so if I wanted to know, I probably would ask you. I'll think of something right now. You always say how ADHD is your superpower, but you never really explain as to why. And for me, it's harder to understand that because I'm in school and so much of my life is revolving around academic validation. Why do you think that it's a good thing?
I love that question. And I have to tell you that nobody has asked me that question.
Okay.
So I heard secret weapon is a better word, secret weapon. And I will say that I am not going to say that ADHD is always amazing because I absolutely have had my struggles with it as well. Definitely in school, definitely more sensitive than the average person. So I definitely want to, I am it's in certain situations emotionally dysregulated. So I overreact to things sometimes, or I perceive rejection, which I hate that. Like, so I'm not going to say that I love every part of ADHD, but what I love about ADHD is, well, I would say a couple of things. One is, now keep in mind that I have a hyperactivity and inattentive ADHD. Neither of my children are hyperactive. And so I would say that the energy level that I have, I love it. It has been a problem in relationships for me because a lot of people can't do the amount that I can do and they don't go, 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 go. And then I lose my patience. But now as a 55-year-old woman, I'm like, okay, I don't have to have my partner by my side. I don't even have to have somebody with me. Like I learned I can hike by myself. And I love my energy level, especially as I'm aging, which, I am more motivated to keep going. And I think that also helps me to stay younger and healthier. So I would say that is a superpower, which can you understand where?
Yeah. So do you
And
think the general thing is just aging? It helps
no.
with
And I
aging?
will say the other thing that I love is that I love the MacGyver aspect. And you probably don't know who MacGyver is, but he was this person who I think he was like a mystery. I've never seen it. I just heard the term that he could just always solve a problem, like, making glue. I mean, making gum do something that he needed, or just like MacGyvering a situation. So basically having a really creative solution that nobody would have ever thought of. So I love that my brain is able to put things together and create creative solutions. Like for instance, I'm going to go on a tangent with you guys, but so the Grandma Has ADHD concept came to me when I realized that Grandma had ADHD, even though I knew for 9 years before that I had it. And I had worked with cluttered clients and I never saw it. And then when I realized that Grandma had it, I was literally in here sweeping the floor and I was like, I need to do a podcast. And the name Grandma Has ADHD came to me.
I get that a lot with music. Whenever I write music, whenever I have an idea, it comes to me in like a random idea and I have to like get out my notes app or voice note when I start it. But the only problem is I can't finish it after that. I'll have a few jots or I'll get a verse down in a chorus, but I can't finish it.
Do you know what might be able to help you finish those tasks? The ADHD coach might be able to help you. I loved the expression of Ned Hallowell. And if you've listened to my podcast, which you haven't, but my audience has.
I like listened to like 5 minutes of it before.
That's wonderful. Thank you. We're also very honest and we have a strong sense of justice. But Ned Hallowell says that having ADHD is like having a Ferrari brain. Do you know what Ferrari brain is? Ferrari is like a really fine-tuned, expensive car.
Yeah.
And bicycle brakes. So if you got this amazing tool, but if you don't know how to use it, then it's not going to work for you. So one of the benefits of ADHD coaching or just understanding your ADHD is, okay, I know that this is when I'm the most creative. This is what I know I need to do to maximize on that creativity, right? So that's where you want to hone your skill. So I would say that my creativity, and I also will say that the thing that and not to toot my horn, But one of the things that I have heard about people with ADHD, and I've definitely seen this a lot of people, is that there's a magnetism. Like there's an energy that a lot of people are drawn to. And I think that could be my ADHD. I don't know. I know the other two are definitely my
I
superpower.
definitely, in social situations, I will find myself more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like attracted, but like in a just in general way, not like a physical way. Just like I find myself drawn more to people with ADHD, just because it might be because just that's how my brain works too. But it's kind of hard for me to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't have ADHD because I keep jump from conversation to conversation, and that's normal for me. And so when I'm with somebody else who is just trying to get back on track, or I keep kind of drifting them off, they'll notice it before I notice it. But with somebody with ADHD, we can kind of flow together, and then we like, wait, what we're talking about, and then snap back into it, and it's the whole cycle.
Would you also say that your conversation with people who have ADHD is deeper and it's not surface level? How do you feel about small talk?
I despise it. I try and avoid it at all costs, and I don't know. I like parties and I like socializing, but I just know that if I'm gonna be sitting there for hours talking to people that I barely know about stupid, like the same things over and over again, I'd rather just stay home.
So I leave. Did you know that? I will
Yeah.
go to something and then I leave. I say, do you know what expression I
Well,
use?
I try,
I hit my wall.
yeah.
I hit my wall and I'm out the door.
Well, usually at parties, I'll go to with somebody who I'm closer with, and so that way I'm not just stuck with people I barely know. But if I in a situation like that, I will want to leave early. I will get so bored.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's boring. It's just also so uncomfortable because I feel like a lot of the times I have to carry the conversation, and it can be really overwhelming just to talk about things that I do not care about. And I can feel like I can be a little bit awkward too about that. I'm much more natural when I'm speaking with somebody I'm comfortable with about deeper, like philosophical conversations almost. I'd rather any day have a deep conversation than an insignificant one.
I will say one other thing that I've noticed in my kids and other people with ADHD and in myself is we tend to be very quick-witted. Like I saw Will, so Addison's older sibling is a drag king in New York, very creative career and really talented. You can find Benedict the Bastard is their stage name. But I saw them perform and it was very much spontaneous. I can't think of the word where you just go up and, you just kind of wing it. Improv. Thank you. See, there's that. Can't find the word. And I would say that that's another thing with our brains that they just, I mean, would you say, and this is how I feel, like, doesn't it feel like your brain is just like, kind of like it just go, 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 go. Like I'm doing like a want, like a war kind of thing. Would you agree with that experience? Yeah. Was this fun?
Yeah, I love talking about myself.
Thank you, Adyson. Any parting words for our listeners?
Stay swag.
Stay swag. What does swag mean, Adyson?
Just being this cool, awesome, silly, all the things. Whatever you want. Stay swag.
Awesome. Well, just because you're growing older, it doesn't mean you should not continue to grow. And learning about ADHD and its impact on your life is just going to make you accept yourself, help you accept yourself and accept the people in your life for who they are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Like and share the podcast and join us on the Grandma Has ADHD Facebook page. And if you are not watching this, but you are listening to it, I just saw a big eye roll that you would get from a 17-year-old.
I didn't give you an eye roll. I didn't do that.
I've got it on proof. But anyway, thanks for listening.
The opinions expressed on Grandma Has ADHD podcast are those of our guests and hosts and are intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This podcast does not provide medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content discussed in this episode is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, mental health professional, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or mental health concern. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The hosts, guests, and producers of Grandma Has ADHD do not assume any liability for the content of this podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Hey there, Grandma Has ADHD listeners. I'm your host, Jami Shapiro, and do I have some exciting news? My book, This Explains So Much, Understanding Undiagnosed ADHD, is now available on Amazon. My mom, Vicki, and I wrote this together. She's the original grandma who inspired this whole journey. I'm calling this the perfect is the enemy of done version, because if I waited until it was perfect, you'd never be holding it in your hands. This book is for us, those of us who've spent our whole lives feeling like we were too much or never quite enough. Inside, you'll find why you've always felt different, ADHD traits you didn't even know were ADHD traits, how to declutter without the shame spiral, and so much more about thriving with ADHD after 50. Here is the exciting part. Everyone who purchases the book gets free access to a virtual book club that my mom and I are hosting. So mark your calendars for Sunday, October 26th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to share stories, laugh about our ADHD moments, and create that safe space where you can finally take off that girdle. When you read the book, you'll know what I mean, and just be yourself. Here's what to do. Head to Amazon, search This Explains So Much, Jami Shapiro, grab your copy, paperback or ebook, and visit grandmahasadhd.com to take the ADHD quiz and get your book club registration link. Understanding your ADHD isn't adding to your plate. It's finally understanding why your plate has always felt so full. I cannot wait to see you at the book club and hear your stories. And if the book resonates, please leave an Amazon review, as well as for this podcast, to help other women find their light bulb moments. Thank you for being part of this community. This book exists because of all of you. Hey there, Grandma Has ADHD listeners. I'm your host, Jami Shapiro, and do I have some exciting news? My book, This Explains So Much, Understanding Undiagnosed ADHD, is now available on Amazon. My mom, Vicki, and I wrote this together. She's the original grandma who inspired this whole journey. I'm calling this the perfect is the enemy of done version, because if I waited until it was perfect, you'd never be holding it in your hands. This book is for us, those of us who've spent our whole lives feeling like we were too much or never quite enough. Inside, you'll find why you've always felt different, ADHD traits you didn't even know were ADHD traits, how to declutter without the shame spiral, and so much more about thriving with ADHD after 50. Here is the exciting part. Everyone who purchases the book gets free access to a virtual book club that my mom and I are hosting. So mark your calendars for Sunday, October 26th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to share stories, laugh about our ADHD moments, and create that safe space where you can finally take off that girdle. When you read the book, you'll know what I mean, and just be yourself. Here's what to do. Head to Amazon, search This Explains So Much, Jami Shapiro, grab your copy, paperback or ebook, and visit grandmahasadhd.com to take the ADHD quiz and get your book club registration link. Understanding your ADHD isn't adding to your plate. It's finally understanding why your plate has always felt so full. I cannot wait to see you at the book club and hear your stories. And if the book resonates, please leave an Amazon review, as well as for this podcast, to help other women find their light bulb moments. Thank you for being part of this community. This book exists because of all of you.